Hello friends, welcome to Technology Hub. So in this discussion we'll basically focus on the below points. So what is .NET, what is the history of .NET, and what are the different basic characteristics of .NET framework. Okay, so in the ongoing series we'll discuss more deeper into this particular topics. So today is the introduction class, so we'll discuss the overview of these all topics. So first thing is, what is .NET? Okay, so before that I just wanted to notify you that we'll focus on .NET Core 6 rather than the older versions, because this .NET Core 6 is the latest one. Okay, and we'll also discuss what exactly this release of it. So if you'll notice the releases of .NET framework, so it may be different releases. Okay, so first they release .NET framework 1.0. okay, then later they keep on going and they released 4.8 is the last version of .NET framework. Then later part they migrated from .NET framework to .NET Core, and then again started .NET Core 1.0, and this goes on, and current release of .NET Core is 6.0. okay, so this is the .NET framework, this is the .NET framework. Okay, and this is the core part, this is the core, and this is the .NET framework. So this is the older one, so maybe in future it will be replaced with .NET Core. Okay, so this is basically the version of it. Okay, now if you wanted to ask .NET Core and .NET framework, what is the difference between these two? The .NET framework is basically the older part which support only one operating system, that is Windows. But Microsoft migrated, and then they make the people flexible to allow to run the .NET framework in multi-platforms like Mac, Linux, or Windows. So if you notice, the .NET Core is a multi-platform, but .NET framework is basically runs on Windows. And also if you'll see the performance wise, the .NET Core is much more faster as compared to the .NET framework. Okay, so if you notice, so most of the things will cover in the entire series with the .NET Core, and that also the latest one, .NET Core 6. Okay, so that's basically the latest one, and in future, so most probably all the .NET framework related code will be migrated to .NET Core. Okay, so this is the history of .NET. And also one thing I wanted to notify is the .NET started in 2002. Okay, it started in 2002. Then the first .NET is .NET framework 1.0. Okay, so next we'll just focus what exactly the .NET, what is the definition of it. So the definition is, .NET is a framework designed by Microsoft which consists of many languages like C#.NET, G#.NET, F#.NET, and BB.NET, and many more. So there are 60 plus languages. Okay, there are 60 plus languages supported by .NET framework. Okay, 60 plus. So if you notice, we are mostly focused on the C#.NET, because among all the languages which .NET supports, C# is the most popular language, and it's widely used by different companies. So C# is the most popular language, so we'll be focusing on C#.NET with .NET Core 6 version, which is the latest one. Okay, now if we notice the second point, okay, so it's basically supports web, desktop, and mobile applications. So web application is normally, if you'll notice, the some application like BB.NET or something, they used to use the desktop application. Some applications like PHP, they use the web application, but .NET and Java, these two use few more languages which help you to create different kind of application. It may be mobile application, it may be web application and desktop applications, all kind of applications. And remember one thing, if when the Java and .NET came, then only the mobile application got more popular. Okay, previously it was not that much, and it's difficult to create it. So that's the advantage of .NET and Java. Basically, that's the reason why people are migrating to .NET and Java particularly. Okay, so if we'll see the second point, .NET supports cross-platform feature. Okay, so the .NET supports cross-platform features. Now, if you see the .NET framework previously, it's all only run in the window platform. Okay, window platform. But now, if you notice the .NET Core, it normally runs in the Windows, Mac, and Linux operating system. So that's the reason why it supports many more platforms in the .NET Core. So that's why it's a cross-platform features. Okay, so that's the most important. So that's why people are migrating towards the .NET Core. Okay, and the third point, it supports the cross-language interoperability, and the fourth one is it supports object-oriented programming language. This third point and the fourth point we'll discuss in the next slide with a pictorial way. Okay, now how exactly, so let's currently discuss it supports cross language interoperability. So now we'll discuss how exactly it supports. Okay, in a pictorial way. So now if you notice here, this is C#.NET and this is VB.NET. Now C#.NET having method 1. Okay, this is method 1, and here method 2. Okay, and we have an application we developed in C#.NET, and I have already an developed application in VB.NET, and there is a method called method 2, and the C#.NET wanted to consume this method 2 along with which is there in the method 1. So I wanted to call this method 1 which is in C#.NET. That is not a problem, but I wanted to consume the method 2 in C#.NET. Okay, but we know the VB.NET and C#.NET having the different syntaxes. Okay, so if I call this one, it shouldn't work, right? But if you see the line cross-language interoperability here, what the facility.NET provide is, if you see here C#.NET and VB.NET, there is an intermediate part should be there. That is nothing but the IL. Okay, IL. Okay, intermediate language. So when the C#.NET and VB.NET used to convert, first of all, while the C# compiler, VB compiler used to compile the code, they normally converted to the intermediate language. Okay, so they used to convert to the intermediate language. Now this is let's write down here C#.NET, and this is the VB.NET, right? VB.NET. So these are the two different applications. So when C#.NET wanted to consume the VB.NET application, that is method 2, then first of all what will happen, this converted to the intermediate language. Okay, and the C# code also move to the intermediate language. Now you notice the intermediate language syntax is same for C#.NET and VB.NET. If both are same, if the intermediate language syntax is same for both C# language and VB.NET language, then it's easily consumed, the C# can easily consume the method 2 of VB.NET. So that's the reason why it's able to consume the VB.NET method in the C#.NET method, C#.NET application. Okay, so let's take another example. Let's C#.NET having the integer syntax called int. Okay, now VB.NET having the integer syntax of integer, right? Now this is C#.NET, this is VB.NET. Now this is part of C# and this is part of VB.NET. But how they will interact? As I told, there is an intermediate language, and that used to convert the C#.NET int and VB.NET into int 32. So the syntax of int is converted to int 32, and the syntax of integer also converted to int 32 in the intermediate language. Now both the types will be same in this case. Okay, so that's normally there is a concept called common type system. So that used to this concept it follows. Okay, so now if it is allowing this 32 in 32 in intermediate language, easily this C#.NET can easily consume this VB.NET, because both having the same code in the intermediate language. Okay, now easily it can be consumed. So that's basically the cross-platform interoperability. So this is the concept behind the cross-language interoperability. So now in the next one, if we'll see the fourth point, what we discussed in the second slide, it supports object-oriented programming language. Okay, now if we notice the object-oriented programming language, it is of 4 types: abstraction, encapsulation, inheritance, and polymorphism. So basically, if you notice, these are the 4 pillars of the object-oriented concepts. Okay, so if the course goes on, we'll understand what exactly this is all about. It's a broad things, so we'll discuss one by one. But currently, just understand these are the 4 pillars of the object-oriented concept. And to implement this object-oriented concept, we need to understand one more concept called object class concept. Okay, so that concept basically we'll discuss here to understand this all the 4 pillars of object-oriented programming. So the object class concept, if you notice here, the class is a virtual one, and this class virtually, and just notice the object is a physical one. Okay, so if I'll say an employee of a company, so we don't know who is the employee of the company, so it's a virtual one. Okay, now this class is always virtual, and object means employee 1 of this company, so that we can find it out, this is the employee 1, so this is a physical one. Okay, so object is always physical and class is object always logical. So here in this example, employee is an class, and under that class we have several employees, we have several objects of it. Okay, so that's basically the class and object relationship. Okay, if we take another example, let's take a car. Car is an class because that is a virtual. We just find it out. Okay, this is the car, and if we are going for the Hyundai or Toyota, so that's a physical car of a company. So that's basically an object of it. So that's the basically relationship between class and object. Just understand, class is a logical or virtual one, and object is a physical one where to whom we can see it. Okay, so that is all about this .NET to introduction to .NET basically. And in the next classes we'll discuss about the architecture of .NET and how exactly it works and how exactly the process goes on when you write an application and how exactly it compiles. Okay, thank you for joining.